Kada Scott boyfriend has spoken out about the night that they went to Top Golf. Y'all, come here.
When I dropped Kada off, we had just left Top Golf. At Top Golf, Kada ordered food. I didn't, but she ordered food for the both of us. I didn't know. So she ordered hot wings, but she only liked the flakes. So I was texting her to tell her that she left her food in the car. And the whole time, she had ate all the flakes out of the hot wings and left me all the drums. So she left the food in the car on purpose because she kept on trying to tell me, I need to eat, I need to eat.
So he didn't know that she left the food in the car, even though she kept telling him, hey, you need to eat, you need to eat?
When I realized the food was in the car, I called her first. She didn't answer the phone. So then I texted her. But my text messages wasn't getting delivered.
So he said the text message didn't deliver. Well, look at this message. It sure did deliver. And also, he sent this an hour and a half to 2 hours after she was already deceased, which he dropped her off around 9:40 that night. He didn't text her until after midnight.
Kept texting her, tried to call her again. It was just like, and for some reason I just couldn't get in touch with her.
Mind you, he says kept texting her. He only texted her one time. I'm sorry, y'all, but this boyfriend of hers is a little sus. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm just saying it's not adding up.
Well, the family of Kada Scott is asking for attorney Shaka Johnson to withdraw from representing Keon King. Now, are you the one that convinced him to turn himself in?
I walked in with him. Yes, I turned him in. I think you're all going to hear some more about Keon King and the reason why I have been interestingly quiet. Right? Because I think you both know that I'm not afraid of cameras. I'm not afraid of a microphone. I will pull up a podium. That's what I do. In this particular case, you've noticed I have been deafeningly silent. I haven't said a single word. This is my second interview. I did one Friday and then one today on this particular subject matter, and nothing about the case, because I want this to play out in court where the rules are different. The court of public opinion has no rules. You can do what you want, say what you want, like the DA's been doing so far. I am not doing that. I want this to play out in court where we have rules.
You're going to hear some more about Keon King. That's what his defense attorney said during a rare interview this week. And the way he said it, calculated, deliberate, hinting at information the public doesn't have yet, made people pause. Because Shaka Johnson has been strategically silent since taking this case, no press conferences, no public statements, just working quietly while the community demands he walk away. Over 2,500 people have signed a petition asking him to withdraw from representing Keon King. But when asked if he would step down, his answer was simple.
Will you withdraw from this case?
So what does he know that we don't? What's coming that might change how we see this case? And why is he so confident staying on it despite the backlash? We'll get to that. But first, we need to talk about what just came out in court documents, because the evidence reveals something nobody expected. Kidnap me again. That's what Kada Scott texted Keon King at 10:07 in the morning on October 4th, 2025. 12 hours later, she was gone. Court filings have now revealed the final text messages between Kada and the man now charged with taking her life. And what those messages show changes everything we thought we knew about what happened that night. She wasn't taken by force. She agreed to meet him. She texted him when to come. She got in his car, but within 9 minutes of that meetup, her phone went offline, and investigators say she was shot shortly after. So what does kidnap me again mean? Was it a code they both understand? Had something happened before? And if she went willingly, what went so wrong in those 9 minutes? The timeline is clear. The conspiracy is confirmed. 3 people were involved. And by the end of this, you'll hear directly from that defense attorney and what he has to say about Keon King, the case, and why he's refusing to walk away.
Now, while King is charged with 3 different gun crimes in these latest 11 charges today, the medical examiner's office here did not say yet how Kada was killed, just for now ruling her death a homicide.
And Keon King now faces approximately 20 charges, including murder, abuse of corpse, conspiracy, tampering with evidence, robbery, arson, and multiple firearm violations. But it's the court documents filed this week that reveal the most detailed timeline we've seen yet. A 5-page affidavit laying out minute by minute what happened on October 4th. And it starts with a text message that investigators still don't fully understand. Court documents show Kada and King had been communicating between September 28th and October 4th. This wasn't the first conversation, this was ongoing. That same day, King called Kada's phone a dozen times. 12 calls, and according to the affidavit, he was using a new number, which is why he had to text her first to let her know it was him. Now here's what makes this timeline so important. Because on the evening of October 4th, Kada Scott was on a date. She went to Topgolf with her boyfriend. They spent time together. She ordered food for both of them, and around 9:40 p.m., her boyfriend dropped her off at home. 10 minutes later, her mother saw her leave for her overnight shift at the Terrace at Chestnut Hill, the senior living facility where she worked. But during that time at Topgolf and after, King was calling over and over. And when you're on a date with your boyfriend and another person keeps calling, you're gonna try to play it off as hard as you can, 'cause you won't want your man to start feeling a certain way or getting suspicious, right? So Kada got to work just before 10 p.m. Her shift was supposed to run until 6 a.m. But around 10 p.m., a coworker saw something that would become critical evidence. The coworker told police they saw Kada outside the building on her phone. She appeared upset, and she was overheard saying, "I can't believe you're calling me about this," followed by an expletive. That coworker then watched Kada get into a dark-colored SUV that immediately drove off. Now look at the timeline closely. At 10:09 p.m., Kada sent King a text, "CM when you hear. Call me when you're here." Minutes later, the coworker sees her outside on the phone, upset. That wasn't a random call. That was him. King had arrived, and he called her just like she asked. But whatever he said on that call made her angry before she even got in the car. "I can't believe you're calling me about this." About what? What did he say that upset her immediately? Was he accusing her about being with her boyfriend earlier? Was he making demands? Did he tell her he wasn't alone and that other people were with him? Did he say something threatening that made her feel she had to meet him, even though she was frustrated? We don't know. But what we do know is that Kada walked toward that vehicle already at a disadvantage, already emotional, already on edge. She thought she was meeting him to talk, but that phone call should have been a warning that something was wrong, and she still went. 6 minutes after that final text, at 10:15 p.m., cell phone data shows Kada and King were together near her workplace. At 10:24 p.m., Kada Scott's phone went offline. It never came back on. Law enforcement sources say she was shot within 20 to 30 minutes of getting into that vehicle. Within half an hour of leaving work, she was gone. So what happened in those minutes? What turned a planned meetup into something fatal? Investigators don't know yet. The affidavit doesn't explain motive. It lays out movements, evidence, conspiracy, but not why. What we do know is this wasn't spontaneous, because on October 3rd, the day before Kada disappeared, King stole a black 2008 Hyundai Accent. Court records say it was left running by a food delivery worker on the 6600 block of Sprague Street. King took it just before midnight. That's the car Kada got into on October 4th. That's the car that shows up on surveillance at the Auberry Recreation Center parking lot at 10:28 p.m. 4 minutes after her phone went dark, and that car stayed there for 2.5 days. But King didn't stay there. Cell phone technology tracked his movements after Kada's phone went offline, and this is where the conspiracy becomes undeniable. King's phone was tracked to a house on the 5500 block of Belmar Terrace in southwest Philadelphia. Police executed a search warrant on that location. They found contractor bags, a hammer, ammunition, and 2 women who lived at that residence. Those women were detained. They were interviewed and they were released. No charges have been filed against them. But the affidavit shows King's phone made multiple trips between that Belmar Terrace house and the area where Kada's body was eventually found. What was he doing at that house? What were those trips about? And what did those women know? On October 5th, the day after Kada disappeared, surveillance cameras at the Auberry Recreation Center captured something crucial. At 11:39 p.m., King's registered gold Toyota Camry was seen pulling into the parking lot where the stolen Hyundai was still parked. 2 people exited that Toyota, and for the next 4 hours they waited. At 3:39 a.m. on October 6th, those 2 individuals approached the stolen Hyundai. Court documents describe what happened next. They removed a heavy object consistent with a human body and carried it toward the wooded area behind Ada Lewis Middle School. At some point during this, one of them motioned toward the gold Toyota, and it drove away, but confirming there was a third person in that vehicle who never got out. 3 people, just like Aunt Bree said from the very beginning. The stolen Hyundai was later found on October 7th at 3 a.m., completely burned in an alleyway, destroyed. The evidence inside it gone. So here's where we stand. The conspiracy is confirmed. The timeline is established. 3 people were involved in moving Kada's body and trying to cover up what happened. But the motive? That's still unclear. So let's talk about the possibilities, because there are several theories and we need to acknowledge them without declaring any as definitive truth. Possibility 1. Jealousy. Kada was with her boyfriend that evening. King was calling repeatedly. He may have been upset, possessive, unable to handle her being with someone else. The co-worker heard her frustrated on that phone call. Maybe that anger escalated when they met face to face. Possibility 2. Something deeper, the level of planning, stealing a car the day before, involving multiple people, the way everything was coordinated. Suggests this might be more than a heat-of-the-moment crime. Some believe there could be spiritual or ritualistic elements we don't understand yet. Possibility 3. A relationship gone wrong. The kidnap me again. Text suggests they had some kind of relationship or understanding. Maybe something happened between them previously that we don't know about. Maybe this was the culmination of something that had been building. Possibility 4. We simply don't know, and that might be the most honest answer. The investigation is ongoing, the motive hasn't been officially revealed, and there may be information that hasn't been made public yet that explains everything. What we can say with certainty is this: Kada Scott's death has been ruled a homicide. She was shot. 3 people conspired in what happened after, and Keon King is facing murder charges along with approximately 20 other criminal counts.
Kada Scott. Kada Scott funeral is on Saturday, November the 8th. Of course, it's in Philadelphia. I know it's going to be huge. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. I don't think I'll be able to take it. But her family and friends are going to be there. Probably Penn State is going to be there. And the pageants, Miss Pennsylvania, or Miss Philadelphia, should I say, is going to be there. Plus Miss Pennsylvania, who happens to be a close friend of hers as well, most likely will be there. I just wish to God that this did not happen to this young lady. I don't want it to happen to anyone's child. And I'm so sorry that it did. I'm hoping she is resting in peace, but it seems like it's always said that person can't rest in peace until they find out who did what they did. Guys, just make sure y'all keep her family and friends in prayer, because they are going to need it. Some people who don't cry now, at funerals, they actually cry. That's when they really, really break down even more, because it's so real, it's surreal. So guys, make sure y'all pray for the family and the friends, please. People who didn't know her, because it affected everybody. I don't care what anybody say. It affected anyone, especially if you have a daughter around her age. Shoot, even a son around her age. That's all I wanted to say. May she rest in peace. Thank you.
Kada's funeral will be held on Saturday, November 8th in Philadelphia. It's expected to be massive. Her family and friends will be there. The Penn State community, where she graduated in 2023. The Miss Philadelphia pageant organization, where she once held the title Miss Pennsylvania, who is described as a close friend. They'll all gather to remember a young woman who was accomplished, loved, and taken far too soon. 23 years old, a business owner, a healthcare worker, a pageant queen, someone with a future that was stolen. But while the community mourns, there's been intense backlash against the man who chose to defend Keon King. Attorney Shaka Johnson has been practicing criminal defense for almost 20 years. He's represented high-profile clients before and Wes. including a leader of the Proud Boys and a man involved in a police standoff. But he's never faced anything like the reaction to taking this case. A change. Org petition with over 2,500 signatures is demanding he withdraw. The petition states, while every person has the right to legal representation, there comes a point where morality must outweigh professional ambition. Kada Scott's family is asking him to step away, but Johnson says no. And this week he sat down for only his second interview since taking the case to explain why. What he says about Keon King, about the justice system, and about the case itself. You need to hear it directly from him.
The family of Kada Scott is asking for attorney Shaka Johnson to withdraw from representing Keon King.
And you know that name because the 21-year-old faces numerous charges in the death of Kada Scott, including murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, abuse of corpse, and tampering with evidence.
In a Change.org petition, the Scott family says in part, quote, Philadelphia attorney Shaka Johnson has chosen to represent Keon King in this deeply painful and high-profile case. While every person has the right to legal representation, this comes a point where morality must outweigh professional ambition. So with those comments, we wanted to get the comment from Shaka Johnson himself. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Who approached you to take the case in the first place?
His parents.
Keon King's parents?
Yes, his parents.
Now, are you the one that convinced him to turn himself in?
I walked in with him. Yes, I turned him in, and that was before he was formally charged with anything having to do with her disappearance, her kidnapping, the arson, the murder subsequently. That was before any of that.
But you were already representing him officially at that point?
On the strangulation case that you've now heard about, that they're calling the first one, right? The district attorney contacted me directly. That's why these remarks are so, quite frankly, nonsensical. Because the district attorney contacted me, said, listen, I understand you're representing Keon King on this first strangulation. No doubt there may be some other charges coming down the pipe, but would you surrender him? Consulted with my client, consulted with his parents, we decided to do that. Had no idea that this had any relationship to Kada Scott or this sort of case
why
of
would
this
the parents
magnitude.
ask you to represent it? So did they, when they saw the news coverage, did they think their son did it?
No. They came to me long before they knew their son was ever involved. His name was even swept up in this whole case. They had no idea. No idea. They thought that their son was in very little trouble. Very little trouble.
Well, then why turn himself in?
Well, because they're law-abiding folks. The parents are salt-of-the-earth people. If their son is being sought after, they want to hire an attorney. Please get to the bottom of it. See why the authorities.
Exactly. So that's where they wanted to
see why my son is being sought after, and let's investigate it. That's exactly what it is. They had no idea he was associated with this. We obviously came to find that out, and at that point, I was already his attorney.
And because of the strangulation case, why was he out?
The case was withdrawn. That strangulation.
Because the victim didn't show up in court?
Because the victim did not show up in court.
Why don't they just do it by Zoom?
Well, no. You have the right. We have constitutional protections, and people have to come to court. You can't wage allegations against a person and then get on the computer. You got to come down, participate in the process that you began.
But aren't there some cases where even, for example, like domestic violence, or situations where even if the victim isn't able to come forward, that they're still able to prosecute, or is that just a different scenario?
No, this is a slightly different scenario.
Okay.
But in this particular case, she was given the opportunity to come to court twice. She didn't come to court, and so the case was withdrawn. As happens, let me be clear, this is not something that is highly irregular. It'll happen probably 50 times today. It happens every day. When I say every day, not once or twice.
Where victims are not,
where cases are withdrawn or discharged, or the government voluntarily withdraws the charges because the so-called victim or the complainant is not there.
If nobody agrees to defend him as an attorney, is that when they appoint a public defender?
Well, I don't know that many people would not agree to defend him. We represent, when I say we, I'm speaking about the criminal defense bar. We represent people from all walks of life who are accused of all manner of heinous crimes, okay? And
I remember didn't you represent a Proud Boy at
Yes,
one time?
I did. Yes, I did. I represented Zachary Real, or one of the leader of the Proud Boys.
Did you have any folks from the community upset when you were
No.
representing him?
I got no emails. I got no social media, whatever. I got none of that. And I'm talking about, and he was obviously not the most high-profile person. Of course, you remember when I went and got Maurice Hill from that police barricade standoff for 8 hours. Like, this is what I do. This is what I do.
And how long have you been doing this?
Almost 20 years.
So is this the first time then that you've seen, because there's a petition that's also been put out that has about 2,000 signatures of people asking for you to withdraw from representing Keon King. Here is the about 2,500 petition. People have been posting. Have you ever had reaction like this from the community for representing someone or different?
No, I never. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if it's the clickbait. Like, I'm not sure why this particular case, like why this one case, because you cover news, you cover violent crimes. You know, there are people getting killed on a daily basis in this community. I'm not talking about worldwide. In our city of Philadelphia, there are men and women and boys and girls murdered daily. They all have lawyers. So I'm not sure why this particular case.
Maybe it's all because everybody involved in the case is black.
Well, we're in Philadelphia. Out of the 1.6 million people in this town, most of the crimes in that criminal justice center are perpetrated against black people by black people.
Well, and we should mention that was brought up in the petition. If you look at what's on the website, it says, as a respected black attorney, Shaka Johnson's involvement in this case sends a chilling message to the black community that even those who claim to fight for justice are willing to defend known abusers, even those responsible for harming and killing black women.
Yeah, that's really sad rhetoric, and people should be really more conscious of their words and the things they put out to the unsuspecting public, because if they were to take just one moment to get from behind the computer and come down to the courthouse, you would see that the rooms are chock full of people who are accused, people who look like me, accused of committing domestic violence, against people who are against victims who look like me as well. And they have black attorneys, black private attorneys, black public defenders. I don't know that this is necessarily black versus white, honestly. I think this is more about the reputation that I've garnered as a successful attorney.
I think that's part of it. You have been very successful. Maybe they think you're too successful. Answer a couple other charges. He's doing it for money.
Me? No. I could do this case for free. It wouldn't really affect my bottom line.
Okay, doing it for notoriety.
Then what do we say about, I know we don't have that sort of time and we're not here for that, but I could give you probably 15 cases that I've done in the last maybe 5 years that are of higher notoriety than this, to be honest with you, right? So that's not it. People come to your office and they consult with you and they say, listen, Alex, at one point there was a gentleman, giving you some grief and they had to go to court. That gentleman had an attorney. Right? So people have attorneys. That is part of the constitutional protections. What few we have left, those are the constitutional protections that are still in place. Due process. You get a lawyer when you are accused of a crime, and you get a lawyer of your choosing.
Is this hurtful for you?
No, I don't operate on the frequency of social media. I'm not on that bandwidth at all.
One last thing, just since you've been representing him even before these charges came out, and I know this is going to be played out in court, so there's probably not too much you can say, but is there more about, because people have been assuming and trying to figure out all kinds of reasons, is there more that we will learn about Keon King? Do you think he is mentally stable enough to do trial?
I think you're going to hear some more about Keon King, and the reason why I have been interestingly quiet, right? Because I think you both know that I'm not afraid of cameras. I'm not afraid of a microphone. I will pull up a podium. That's what I do. In this particular case, you've noticed I have been deafeningly silent. I haven't said a single word. This is my second interview. I did one Friday and then one today on this particular subject matter, and nothing about the case, because I want this to play out in court where the rules are different. The court of public opinion has no rules. You can do what you want, say what you want, like the DA's been doing so far. I am not doing that. I want this to play out in court where we have rules.
Okay, we want to get you on tape saying this. Will you withdraw from this case?
N-O.
Well, that's your side of the story.
And I'm sticking to it.
Right.
Yes, thank you. And we also want to mention, of course, that we've been talking with the family, and if the family's more to say, we will also get their side, as we played some quotes for you there
But they
from
asked
their petition.
that everybody stop, asking them for statements until this woman is laid to rest, and so we'll respect that for sure.
True.
But
All right.
And that's part of the reason. Can I just say that, Alex? That's part of the reason that I haven't said very much. I'm trying to show the most respect, and I think you can do two of these things at the same time. You can show respect to the decedent and her family, and sort of, believe it or not, the defense attorney can be a part of that healing process. You can, which is why I've been quiet and just doing the work where the courtroom suggests I do the work.
All right. It'll be played out in court. We'll come right back.
That was Shaka Johnson, the defense attorney representing Keon King. And whatever you think about his decision to stay on this case, one thing is clear. He believes there's more to this story than what's been made public. You're going to hear some more about Keon King, he said. And he's been deliberately quiet, waiting for it to play out in court where the rules are different than the court of public opinion. So we wait for the trial, we wait for the evidence to be presented fully. We wait to see if those other two people, the ones caught on surveillance moving Kada's body, will ever be identified and charged. We wait to understand what kidnap me again really meant. We wait for motive. But while we wait, we remember Kada Scott not as a case, not as a headline, not as a controversy, but as a daughter, a friend, a young woman who was building something beautiful, who had plans, who had a bridesmaid dress ready for a friend's wedding, who had a title, a business, a smile that lit up rooms. Rest in peace, Kada Scott. November 8th, your community will gather to celebrate your life, and the fight for justice continues.
Now Taz, aka Ramir, because Ramir is his real name, has commented on this creator's post that I got this from. Now this creator talked to Taz, which is Kada's boyfriend, alleged boyfriend, the same guy that she went to top off with that night. Now, he commented on her post, and someone basically was like, why would he talk to you, whatever. He responds and says, she tricked me. He didn't even know that she was recording. And basically, he's already reached out to the proper people, I guess, for them to sue this content creator. But like I told him in my response to him, I let him know as well, as like, you need to stop talking to people. Because he said there's also two other people besides her that's basically going to be sued, or whatever the case may be, for recording him. But once again, why are you talking to people? Why are you talking to content creators? The only person that you need to be talking to involving Kada's case is those detectives. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments about this whole situation.